Good morning, children. I hope you have seen the previous videos about Union Parliament and the 1857 revolt. Though in Union Parliament, I have explained everything in depth, and I hope you people have understood what is the Union Parliament and what is it talking about, like about the two houses done and their president. That I'll be clearing you in the presidential chapter. Now, before that, I have started with the 1857 revolt, and the revolt I have discussed about the causes, the various causes that paved the way for the revolt, and those causes were responsible for the rise of the revolt against the Britishers. Though everyone knows that key Indians lost the revolt against the Britishers. Clear everyone? What were the reasons and the failures that I've already discussed in depth in the previous videos? If you want, you can listen to it attentively. Clear? Now, in this video, I'm going to start a new chapter known as Factors Promoting Nationalism, that is in continuation with the chapter 1 of 1857 revolt, and here you will come to know about the factors and the causes that were responsible for the rise of nationalist feeling in spite of the fact that Indians were brutally assaulted and mercilessly killed under the Britishers. Here Britishers were killing the Indians at will. Here, Britishers were interfering in their culture, in their languages. Here, Britishers were attacking the rulers, the princes, and their territories so that they can dominate over India. And still, in spite of all these things, still their languages were all already being pressurized by the Britishers' Western education. Still, Indians somehow able to secure the nationalist feeling for their motherland. This chapter talks about in depth how come the love and the feeling for mother gave rise for the nationalist feeling. The mother who is India. How come they developed the love? How come that feeling was inculcated among the Indians in spite of the fact that Britishers were brutally pressurizing them? They were forced the Indians to do the jobs against their wills. Clear everyone? This chapter gives you an insight. How come? What are those factors and the causes that made Indians to rise against the Britishers? Though this time revolt will not take place. Don't get confused. Revolt will not take place because revolt was already pressurized by the Britishers in chapter 1. But here, few factors you will see, you will hear few factors that gave the rise to the nationalist feeling, to the patriotic feeling for the motherland. How come Indians again were rising against the Britishers? What were those things that made Indians to again rise on their feet? To again be self-reliant and self-dependent and again give a tough competition to the Britishers. This chapter talks about all the things in depth. That means here this chapter, again I'm giving you the theme of the chapter is growth of nationalism. The nationalist, the feeling of patriotism, how come was inculcated among the Indians. This chapter, don't get confused, is in continuation with the chapter 1, that is 1857 revolt. So let's start with this chapter now. Now, the very first factor was what? Before starting with anything, this chapter gives you an insight about the social reformer. I hope you people have already done in depth in class 8. The social reformer who reformed the Indian society. Please don't get confused. They were not the ones who always told Indians to rise against the Britishers. No, they were the ones who reformed the Indian society against the social evils that was penetrated in depth in the Indian society, and that make that society an orthodox society, right, and a handicapped society. Clear everyone? These social reformers paved way, have given the confidence to the Indians, right? Why? Because they were the ones who were removing the bad things in the society, and the bad things were what they were believing. The Indian society was an orthodox society that was believing into the sati pratha, right, where the widows were not allowed to remarry, right, everyone, where the Indians really feel in caste system. They believe in they had a superstitious belief. They believe in caste system where lower class and upper class, they have a vast difference. They were at social distance. They looked down at each other, right, everyone. So here the social reformers paved the way. They wanted these things to be abolished so that Indians could rise against all such things. Clear? And they can see from the other side, they can see, yes, there were a lot many things that can pave the way for nationalism. Clear, everyone? So these social reformers really wanted the society to be free from social evil. So let's see now. Among the foremost social reformer who was called the father of modern Indian Renaissance, right, everyone? So we have Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and the next social reformer was Jyotiba Phule. So one-on-one basis, I explain you now here. Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Now, who was Raja Ram Mohan Roy? Everyone knows he was a social reformer of 18th century, right? Now, what happened? He has founded which society? Brahmo Samaj in the year 1828, and Brahmo Samaj talked about what? It denounced. Denounce means it has given up. It abolished idol worship. It was against caste system. They wanted to, this society really wanted to inculcate brotherhood feeling, right? They wanted to attack female infanticide, right? Sati was banned. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was strictly against Sati Pratha. Polygamy was practiced highly in this society, and under Brahmo Samaj, polygamy was practiced. That means many marriages. Clear? And the child marriage was totally banned and prohibited under Brahmo Samaj. So here Raja Ram Mohan Roy paved the way where all the social evils need to be mitigated, need to be abolished, so that Indians could rise above all these things. Indians could think beyond above all these things. Clear, everyone? So under Brahmo Samaj, what they were giving up? They were giving up idol worship. They were against caste system. They wanted brotherhood. Female infanticide was totally banned. Sati Pratha, they were against. Polygamy and child marriage, right? Then again, he started Samvat Komadi and Miratul Akbar. These were the newspaper which he has started. One was in Bengali, another one was in Parsi. Clear? The next, he stood for the freedom. He was highly supportive of the press, right? And he protested against the restrictions made by the Britishers. Now, press was what? Press, that means publication of the newspaper. He really wanted newspaper to be published all over India so that people could get the information. Clear, everyone? So he really supported the freedom of the press. Next, let's move. He believed in monolithic approach of all the religion, Vedas, philosophy. Monolithic approach, that means everyone believe in one God. All are equal, right, everyone? He believed in monolithic attitude of all religion. He really like all good things in the religion. All religion says one thing, they talk about brotherhood. Clear, everyone? Next, he believed in Vedas. Next, he was called the father of Indian Renaissance. Renaissance, everyone knows what about the very first Renaissance was started in Italy. You people have already learned Renaissance in class 8. Clear? So he was called the father of Indian Renaissance. Clear? So this was Ram Mohan Roy, who has really literally abolished many things that really make Indian society an orthodox society. Next, let's come to Jyotiba Phule. Jyotiba Phule, now, he was a great social reformer and he was against the oppression of lower class. He himself belonged to the lower class. This Jyotiba Phule was a great social reformer, and he has already seen the atrocities being played by the Brahmins over lower classes. The upper classes already dominating over the lower classes, right? They were mercilessly beaten, and he was highly against all such things. Clear? Next, he simply was the first reformer who has opened school for girls, orphans, women. He has supported widow remarriages, and slavery. Was highly against slavery, where the upper class made slaves, and they were making slaves to whom? To the lower class. Next, he has founded Vis Samaj, like Raja Ram Mohan Roy has founded Brahmo Samaj. He has founded Satyashodak Samaj, which was founded in the year 1873, right? And it talks about untouchability, right? And it was against blind faith, blind superstitious beliefs, right? This Samaj was against. Why was this Samaj founded? Why? Because they wanted to rise against the untouchability. Clear, everyone? In the society was founded where? In which place? In Maharashtra. He was given the title of Mahatma, right? Because he fought for the Dalits, and he was given the title of Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. Next, he simply laid the importance of women education. That's why he has opened the school for girls. Clear, everyone? So I hope you people have seen and already understood what these social reformers are doing. Don't get confused. They were not directly telling to the Indians go and rise against the Britishers. No, not like that. They really wanted to remove the social evils that was penetrated in the Indian society, that make their minds dull and orthodox. They don't think beyond that. Clear, everyone? So I hope everyone has understood. This society was founded by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Brahmo Samaj, another society which was founded by Jyotiba Phule, was Satyashodak Samaj. Clear? Let's move on to another slide. Now, there are other social reformers as well, and we have Swami Vivekananda, who has founded Ramakrishna Mission in 1897. Then we have Swami Dayanand Saraswati, who has founded Arya Samaj in 1875. They all were social reformers. They were all against the caste system and other social evils, untouchabilities, right? Next, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who knows Sir Syed, everyone knows Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who has founded the Aligarh Muslim University in the year 1875. Clear, everyone? So I hope so. These social reformers paved the way for educating the masses so that they go beyond all these things, they think beyond all these things, they simply move against the caste system, right? Everyone, here they were believing into caste system, they were believing into social evils that really make Indian society as the dull society. Clear, everyone? Let's move on to another slide. Now, what was the impact and influence of these social reformers on Indian society? As everyone knows what was the impact, was what taught. These social reformers, what they taught equality. They denounced, they have given up caste system. They really want Indians not to believe in caste system. Clear, everyone? That's why unity may arise automatically if they stop believing into caste system. And everyone knows caste system was especially the one of the most minus point in the revolt of 1857. Next, they simply played the importance. They really wanted women education, emancipation of women education, right? Then if Indians were in despair, in grief, and what was they given? They have given the teachings of Vedas, back to Vedas, right? Everyone, where Indian find solace in Vedas, right? Where Indian find peace in Vedas. Clear, everyone? If they were in despair or in grief or in sorrow. Next, instill confidence. All these things instill confidence among the Indians, right? Yes, they can develop very well the, if they had a love for the society, then they had a love for their motherland, right? So this way, all these social reformers instill the confidence. Next, they were against Parda. Obviously, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was a social reformer, and he was against Parda system, the polygamy system, and all these reformers really talked about self-reliance, to be self-dependent, right? Not to be dependent on outside, on the Britishers, right? For anything they want, they can achieve their own path, right? Everyone, this way they had a positive impact on the Indian society. Indian society has learned lot many things from social reformers, and I hope so you people have already learned lot many things in class 8 about social reformers. You people already taught about social reformers in depth, right? Next, come on to this another slide. Now, other contribution like this, so we have this contribution, like in the earlier slides I have given in depth about the social reformers positive influence. Now here the other contributions for teaching of English and Western education, like in the previous chapter they have simply neglected the English education. 1857 revolt, Indians neglected the English education. They thought it might be an attack to their Islamic, to their Hindu teachings. Clear, everyone? Obviously they were quite scared about their own Oriental teachings. Clear, everyone? So here the positive signs they are taking, ki how come they can take the benefit of the Western education in this chapter. Next, the press and the Indian literature. Indians have taken somehow the benefit of press and the Indian literature. This I'm going to explain in depth. And next, how come development and transport and means of communication. This point also they have taken as a negative point in chapter 1, right? Like where their railways and transports, they were believing into caste system and transports were meant for hanging people, right? But in this chapter somehow they were started taking the positive points from these points, clear, from these contributions. So one basis I'll explain you. Now, very first contribution was what? Teaching of English and Western education, right? Now, how come this English and Western education paved the positive role in Indians life? Now, what happened? It served as a common link and a medium. Now, common link and a medium, how come it served as a common link and a medium? Like if you see all over India, different states, different languages, right? Different regional languages where Indians were talking in their own regional languages, right? Like southern Indians cannot understand the northern Indian languages, clear? But if English is being taught all over India, so they can very well talk in a common language, like Bengali person can very well explain himself in English, and they can converse them to the southern Indian person. Clear, everyone? So where English education played a common role in understanding their thinking, right? Now, if all over India, if English education is being imparted to the Indian people, every regional people can talk in English only, right? And they can discuss their different problems, their common problems in English to each other. Clear, everyone? So somehow this Western education has given a positive sign to the Indians now. Clear, everyone? Next, now they started reading west, about western political thinkers and the authors, like among them the best were Rousseau, Garibaldi, French Revolution. They have learned lot many things about French revolutions, right? Mazzini, Locke. They learn about American Revolution. Like everyone knows, America was once under the Britishers. Now how come they fought under the leadership of George Washington? Clear, everyone? And then they learned many things about human rights. So these all are foreign books, right? And under western education they bound to read foreign books now. So somehow they started taking the minus point plus points of the western education, right? All these the authors and the writers, all they started revolution in their own country now. So they learned lot many things ki how come they started the revolution, what were those things, those positive points which they talked to their people, and their people were started convincing from their languages and beliefs. Clear, everyone? Next, western historical influence. Now they have read different historical books, western historical books, right, everyone, where they started getting the positive points ki yes, two Britishers started, if you have seen in Afghan war, Britishers lost the war, the first Afghan war, right? So they started instilling the confidence ki they too can fight against the Britishers. Next, democratic and a free institution. Indians were moving abroad, right, everyone, and there they were seeing the free institutions and democracy, and ideology was working outside. So why not, they wanted obviously this in India. And back in India, what they were seeing, India was under the Britishers, India was totally pressurized under the Britishers. So all these western education somehow somehow brought them the positive points in their attitude. Somehow their attitude was changed after going through the books of writers, political thinkers, right, everyone? Let's come on to the another contribution, and that was the press in the Indian literature. Now what how come the press played the positive role? Now what happened? See, now press has given different activities, political ideas, conveying messages, repressive act, whatever the Britishers were doing with Indians, right? Unjust policies their Indians were publishing, and this way all over India newspapers was published. So this way the corner part of Indians were come to know about what come the other part, how come the another part is facing the problem, right, everyone? So they come to know about the common problems, and obviously the all over India was totally under the Britishers. Clear? The Britishers, if they were attacking on one part of India, the another part come to know automatically through the newspapers. Clear, everyone? Next, criticizing this way through press, they are criticizing the Britishers, right? They are publishing different magazines, books, education, right? Rast Koftar obviously was a Parsi journal published by Dadabhai Naoroji. Clear? Next, come on to spirit, and this way it gives the spirit of nationalist feeling. These newspapers, right, different parts of India were studying the different newspapers, different regional newspapers, and they were coming to know, yes, these were the work, they were getting inspired from the work of different Indian writers, right? Like Tilak Kesari in Maratha played a very important role. Then Bengal Gazette was the first newspaper ever started. Then Amrit Bazar Patrika, Shom Prakash, right, everyone? So all these things have really given the positive sign to the Indians, and they started reading so many books, and there they got an idea ki yes, they all were facing the common problem, and somehow the patriotic feeling started rising among the hearts of the Indians, right? Next, somehow the best newspapers also started, and among them the oldest newspapers were the Hindu, the Times of India. Clear? Now let's come on to development of transport and communication. Now how come they have taken the positive points, these Indians? Now what happened? They started traveling, right? This way the unity started inculcating among the Indians, right? Regional disparities, now different regionals people started coming together, they started traveling together, they started discussing the common problem, right? So this were regional disparities and regional differences were all being they started abolishing. Clear? Regional differences means like southern part Indians were thinking something else, northern part Indians thinking something else, right? But this way they started traveling, so they started discussing about the common problems and common issues which they were facing at that time. Clear? Now common problems, next are removal, and this way the caste system was removed, right? They're starting upper and lower class started sitting together in the railway compartments. Clear, everyone? This way caste system somehow is being improved, removed. They started seeing the negative points of the caste system. Clear? Next, come on to goods and services, and this way their goods and services started being transporting from one place to another. So somehow they have taken the positive sides, positive points from all these contributions, like from teaching of English, then the press, and then the development of transport and means of communication. So this way somehow the patriotism started rising among the hearts of the Indians. Let's move on to another slide. Now, again, I'm going to repeat another this point. This point we have already done in chapter 1 of 1857 revolt under economic causes. So now the again, how come patriotism feeling rises among the Indians? If you see, they have exploited Indians economically, right? So what they have taken now, machine-made goods replace the homemade cloths, right? Indians were totally dependent on the homemade economy, right? They were dependent on the agriculture, but now they replace agriculture with the machine-made goods. So somehow Indians were felt jobless, right? And they wanted to do something against the Britishers, right? Next, supplier raw material, they dumped their manufactured good. Now they simply made Indian as a raw material. They simply started producing the raw material in Indian economy, and then they just simply, after raw material, then they simply sell off their goods in a packaged form to their own country, right, everyone? So this way they started dumping their manufactured good, their raw material in India. Next, peasants made to, now peasants and indigo planters, they were only made to produce only cash crops. This we have already done. Cash crops, indigo planters, basically they started attacking them, right? Then railway industries fulfilled only British requirement. Now here only Britishers, they were had simply introduced this railway industries. Why? Because for their own purpose, they wanted their transport to be simply they wanted their transport for to simply transfer their goods from one place to another. Clear, everyone? They were not, they have not introduced for the sake of Indians, they have introduced for their own sake, for their own purpose. Clear, everyone? Next, British were draining. Now here what they have started doing, they started draining, they started taking all the wealth from India, right, in the form of profits, in the form of salaries and the pensions. So whatever they were earning like profits and money, they started draining there, they started paying to their employees in Indian money, right? This way the Indians wealth was being totally drained off by the Britishers. Next, it affected the whole section of society. Now economic exploit, they simply exploited economically the whole India, so it affected the whole sections of the Indian society. So here we are coming to the last of this slide in this video. I hope so people have understood what I'm talking about in this chapter. You simply make yourself aware about how come Indians started gathering the feeling of patriotism, right, everyone? How come the feeling of unity started coming among the Indian heart? How come there that love was inculcating in spite of the fact that Indians were mercilessly beaten, mercilessly thrashed, and mercilessly killed? Clear, everyone? So this way this chapter gives you an insight about their feeling for patriotism. Clear? So pay attention to this video very attentively. This is on chapter 3rd. This is the new chapter, right, everyone? And this is on continuation with the chapter 1st of Indian history, that is 1857 revolt. Clear? Okay, thank you so much.